Morning everybody, so we're going to be carrying on with our recapping some previous learning today. So I'm going to go through the questions, then I'm going to go through the answers. Now if you get the answers correct, you might not need to watch all the explanations, but you could just to double check that you've worked it out the correct way. Okay, so I'd like you to have a go at doing this. First of all, telling me the time on the analog clock. Then for some bonus points to get to convert it into the digital and what it would be as AM and what it would be as PM, so morning and afternoon. Then having a go at number 1, there are 12 cakes in the shop. There are 3 times as many pies as cakes. How many pies are there? So think about what your keywords are. Think about what time you're going to use to work it out. Then you're dividing 42 by 3, so again thinking about what you're going to use. There might be, if there's a remainder, there might be a remainder, there might not be a remainder, but think about how we divided yesterday using bigger numbers. Then what is 160 divided by 8? Think about something you could do there to make it easier. And then for number 4, you're calculating 145 and 137. So once you've had a go at doing those, press play and we'll see if you've got them all correct. Okay, so we're going to have a look now at solving and doing our working out to show our answer. So if we start off by looking at the clock, we can see that the minute is the longer word, so it's going to be the longer hand is pointing to the 3. Now remember, between each number there are 5 minutes. So I can count up in 5, 10, 15. So it is 15 minutes past, which we know is the same as quarter past, because it's gone a quarter around the clock, and my hour hand is just slightly in front of the 8, so it's going to be quarter past 8. Now if we were to write that as a digital, remember if it's doing it as 24 hours, we would need 2 numbers before, 2 numbers after. We would say how many minutes past it's gone. Well, it's gone 5, 10, 15 minutes past, because that's the same as quarter past, and it has gone past the 8. Now remember, if it's in the morning, we just add a 0 before the 8 to make it a 2-digit number, and if it's in the afternoon, we add our minutes will stay the same, and I will add 12 to my hour, so 8 add 12 is 20, so it will be 20:15. Okay, let's have a look at number 1 then. There are 12 cakes in a shop, so I'm going to write down my keywords, 12 cakes. Then there are 3 times as many pies as cakes. How many pies? So we want to know how many pies. We know that there are 12 cakes. We know there's 3 times, so there's our clue, times as many. So we want to do 12 times by 3. If I do 10 times 3, I know is 30. Add 3 is 33. Add another 3. So 12 times 3 is 36. So you should have said that there was 36 pies in the shop. Okay, so this time we're doing 42 and we're dividing by 3. Now we could have counted up in our 3 times table, or because it's a bigger number, I can partition my number 42 and I can partition it into 2 numbers. Because I'm dividing by 3, I'm going to go 3 times bigger, which is 30, and I want to know how many numbers left over. So I've got 0 ones, I've got 2 ones, so I've got 2 ones left over. I've got 3 10s, I want 4 10s, so I'm going to have 1 10 left over. So now I can do 30 divided by 3 and 12 divided by 3. I know 3 goes into 30 10 times, and I know 12 goes into 3 goes into 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 4 times. I then add my 2 numbers together, so my answer is going to be 14. Okay, 160 divided by 8. Now, it might throw you off because it's a big number. However, if I just remove my 0 for the time being, I've got 16 divided by 8, and I know 16 is in my 8 times table. If I know how many 8s go into 16, 8, 16, that's 2, and I put my 0 back on, so it is 20. And finally, to work out, you should have done column. Yours should have been set up like this. Starting my ones, 5 add 7 is 12. Remembering I can't put 2 digits in one column, so I need to exchange my 10 ones for 1 10, and so my 10 will go in underneath my 10s column. 4 add 3 is 7. Add your 1 is 8. 1 add 1 is 2. Your answer is 282. So I'd like you to have a go doing this one. So telling me the time on the clock, then telling me it is a digital AM and PM, then having a go at telling me how much money there is altogether, calculate 96 divided by 3, and using the less than, greater than, and equal to compare these two numbers. Remember, write your answers underneath, then you can compare them. And then what is 10 more than 472? Now for number 6, 96 divided by 3, you're going to need to partition your numbers. You could do it into 2 numbers, you could do it into 3 numbers, but you'll need to break 96 down so that you are able to do that. And then obviously for number 8, if you use your column method to put in that number, you'll be able to work it out. Okay, so let's start with our clock. My minute hand, which is my longest hand, is pointed to the 9. So if I know, if I counted that, it's on the 2 side of the clock, remember? So I want to know how many minutes 2. If I start from the 12 and I count backwards in 5, because it's on the whole number, because we know there's 5 minutes between each, 5, 10, 15. We know it's 15 minutes 2, but we wouldn't say 15 minutes 2. We would say that it is quarter to. So it'll be quarter to, and then we want to see where we're at. Our hand, our hand is on its way to the 1, so it's going to the 1, so it's quarter to 1. Now, if we were to write this as a digital clock, as AM and PM, remember this time, even though it is 15 minutes 2, I wouldn't put 15 minutes here because I want to know how many minutes past it is. So if I go the other way around the clock, if I put on my, if I start from the 12 and I count how many minutes it's gone past, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So I know it's going to be 45 minutes, because that's how many it's gone past. Alternatively, you could have taken 15 from 60 to find that out. Now, we want, if it's gone 45 minutes past, we want to know what time it has actually passed, what time it is to, not the time that it's going to. So if I have a look, it's past the 12, so we would say that it will be 12:45. Now remember, this is actually, 12:45 is actually in the afternoon. So if I added 12 to 12, I would get 24, but I wouldn't write 24 because I know there are 24 hours in a day. So it would go back to 00, 0, because that is the start of the day. So obviously that's in the morning, quarter to 1, or 00:45, and that's in the afternoon. That was a real challenging one, that one. So well done if you got that one correct. Okay, so we want to know now how much money do I have altogether. We can see that I have got a 20p, so if I write it down, 20p, add 20p, add 20p, add 5p, add 2p. If I go 20, add 20 is 40, add another 20 is 60, add 5 is 65, and add 2 is 67 pence. Okay, so this one, we're doing 96 divided by 3. Now, there are a few different ways you could have done this. You might have spotted that straight away the number 9 and the number 6 are both in the 3 times table. So we actually could have just gone, how many 3's go into 6? Well, I know that's 2, so that's going to be my ones column, because that's in my ones column. Then I can do how many 3's go into 9? 3, 6, 9 is 3. So my answer would be 32. Alternatively, you could have done 96 and you could have split it up. You could have done it into 90 and 6. You could have done it into 30. You could have done, then you would have had 66 remaining. Or you could have even partitioned that 66 into another lot of 30. We could have done 3 lots of 30 and 6, because 30, 60, 90, 96. Now if you'd have done that way, you could have divided each of these by 3. So I'm just going to write these out. And if we worked it out, we know 3 goes into 30 10 times. And I know 3 goes into 6 twice. So if I add all those numbers together, I would get 32. So that's another way you could have done it. This time we are using a greater than, less than or equal to sign. Now if you actually had done your working out and done 8 times 3 or 3 times 8, we would have found the answer was 8, 16, 24. So you should have wrote 24 underneath. 4 times 6, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. You will have found that they are the same answer, so you should have put equals. And finally, if you are looking at what is 10 more than 472, if you wrote 472 into your columns, if we're wanting 10 more, we look in my tens column. I've got 7 tens, I want one more 10, so it would become an 8, and my ones and my hundreds would stay the same, so it will be 482. Okay, I'd like you to have a go at doing these questions now. First of all, telling me the time on the clock and as a digital clock. Then having a go at numbers 9, which is you're going to write 342 pence in pounds and pence. Work out 81 divided by 3. So for this one, you might need to again partition that number 81 into a smaller number. Then we can have a look at doing multiply 23 by 4 using column method and find the difference between 572 and 196, thinking about if we're finding the difference, what sign you're going to use. Okay, so let's have a look at our clock to start with and work out the time on the. So my minute hand is pointing to the 5. So if we first of all work out how many minutes that is, if we start from the 12, and if I just write my numbers in, if I start from the 12, I'm counting up in 5s because I know there's 5 minutes between each one. I can count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So we know it's 25 minutes, and we know it is past because it is on the past side of the clock. Because remember, when it gets to 6, that becomes where it changes to 2. And we want to see now where the hour hand is. The hour hand is between the 7 and the 8. So it has gone past the 7 and is on its way to the 8. Now if we were to write this as a digital clock, because it is past, we know how many minutes past it has gone. It has gone 25 minutes past. And because it is past 7, we know that I would write 7. Remember, turning it into AM with a 0 and adding 12 to 7, which is 19, which will be in the afternoon. So well done if you got that one correct. Now we're going to do 342 pence into pounds and pence. If I write my hundreds, my tens and my ones above it, I know that in a pound there are 100 pence. So if I've got 300 pence, I've got 3 hundreds, so I'm going to have £3, and my pence is going to be 42 pence left, because that's how much, when we have pence, it is a 2-digit number, as when it becomes a 3-digit number, it would become into the pounds. Okay, so this time we're doing 81 divided by 3. Now this one is a difficult one, but we're going to have a go at partitioning it into 2 or more numbers. So first of all, I'm going to partition it into 30, because I know I'm dividing by 3. Oh, I'm actually going to do it into another lot of 30, because that makes it easier for me. So I've got 30, 60, and then I want to have whatever is left over. If I've got 60, I've got 21 left over. So if I now divide these numbers by 3, you could have done whatever partitioning method you choose, but I have chosen to do it as 30 and use as many 30s first because it makes it easier. Because I know straight away 3 goes into 30 10 times. How many 3's go into 21? Well, if we count it up, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, it is 7. If I add all these numbers together, 10 and 10 is 20, add your 7 is 27. So well done if you got those correct. If you're multiplying now, 23 times by 4, you should have used column method. You start in your ones, 3 times 4 is 12. So my 2 would go in my equals bracket, my 1 would go under my tens column because I'm exchanging 10 ones for 1 10. Then I would do 2 times 4, which is 8, add your 1, which is 9. So your answer is 92. And finally, if we're finding the difference, that means we're going to take away because we want to know the difference. So you should have set it up as a column method. Remembering that the biggest number always goes at the top when we take away. 2 take away 6, I can't do it, so I'm going to have to exchange. So I'm going to cross out the 7, turn that into a 6, and I'm going to take 1 10 and exchange it for 10 ones. I now have 12 take away 6. Well, I know the answer straight away is 6 because I know double 6 is 12. 6 take away 9, I can't do it, I'm going to have to exchange. So I'm going to turn my 5 into a 4 and exchange 100 for 10 tens. I've now got 16 take away 9. Put 9 in your head and count up. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Your answer is 7. 4 take away 1 is 3. So 376 is your answer. So now for this one, I want you to again have a go at doing the clock to start with. Tell me it's an analog and a digital. Remember, because it's going to be on the 2 side, think about how it's going to affect your digital. Then you're calculating £5.20 and £1.35. 14, there are 3 times as many girls as boys in a chess club. There are 7 boys in a chess club. How many girls are there? So think about what you're going to do for that one. And if 3 times 8 is 24, what is 3 times 80 going to be? And then finally, find the sum of 342 and 575. Now think about what the word sum means. Think about what sign you are going to use. Okay, so if we have a look at this one, I'm going to look at my minute. How much is my longest hand? My minute hand is pointing to the 10. Now I know, remember, my clock is split in half. This is on the 2 side. So I want to know how many minutes 2. So if I start from my 12 and I count how many minutes 2, I'm going to start from 12, but I'm going to count backwards to find how many more minutes. So it's going to be 5, 10. So it's going to 10 minutes 2. Now my hour hand is almost at the 2, so it's going to be 10 minutes to 2. Now if we were to write that as a digital clock, remember we don't say 10 minutes to. On a digital clock that will be wrong, because on a digital clock we are saying how many minutes past the hour. So if I know there are 60 minutes in an hour, if there's 10 minutes has gone, I would have 50 minutes left. Alternatively, you could have counted it at how many minutes past it had gone. Now, if it says 10 minutes to 2, but it's not got there yet, so we want to know how many minutes past it has gone. So it's 50 minutes past the previous hour, which will be 1. So I need to put my 0 before to make it into AM, and I need to add 12 to make it into PM. So you should have said 150 or 1350. Well done if you got that one right. That one was a challenge. Okay, so for number 13, there are 2 ways you could have done this. You could have converted them all into pence. So £5 is 500 pence plus your 20, so it's 520. And you're going to add it to £1 is 100 pence, 135. So if you'd have done your column method, you should have found the answer 655 pence. And if we converted that, remember that if it's in the hundreds column, that's going to be your pounds, because there's 100 pence in a pound, so there's 600 pence in £6 and 55 pence. Now another way you could have done that, we could have added my pounds first. £5 add £1 is £6, and then I'm doing 20 pence add 35 pence equals 55 pence. So that was another way you could have done it. However, obviously there was no exchanging, so the second method would have worked. Okay, so for number 14, there are 3 times, so I'm writing the keywords down, as many girls as boys. There are 7 boys in a chess club. How many girls? Well, my keyword there is times, so I'm going to do 7 times by 3, because there's 7 times as many girls, and I know my answer will be 21 girls. When I look at number 15, I've got 3 times 8 equals 24. So if I want to know what 3 times 80 is, if we have a look, 3 times is the same. 8, it's still got an 8 in it, but because it's got a 0, we want to have it 10 times bigger, so I can have the same answer. However, I will put a 0 on the end, so it's 10 times bigger, so it should be 240. Finally, what is the sum of 342 and 575? To find the sum, it just means the total. So we do 342, add 575, which if you worked it out, 5 adds 2 is 7, 7 add 4 is 11, so I would exchange and put my 1 in under my hundreds column. 5 add 3 is 8, add your 1 is 917. Okay, so I'd like you to have a go now at working out what the answer is going to be for the clock. What time on the analog clock is it? Again, if you want to challenge yourself, tell me what time it is on the digital as AM and PM. Then number 17, you're working out how much money does Tilly have now. If she spends money, how much has she got left? If 3 cars have 12 wheels, how many wheels do 9 cars have? So think about how you could work that one out. And then using the signs to compare the different numbers, thinking about whether you need to work it out or whether there's a clue. And finally, what is the value of the digit 4 in 342? For a bonus point, you can always tell me what each of the values are worth. Now, what I would suggest doing for number 18 is if 3 cars have 12 wheels, how many wheels do 9 cars have? Think about what happens between 3 cars and 9 cars to think about how you're going to work out how many wheels there are. So if we have a look at the first one, I'm going to have a look at the clock. Okay, so my minute hand is my longer hand and that's pointing to the 4. So I know it's on the past side, so it's going to be how many minutes past? Well, if we count from the 12 in 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, it's going to be 20 minutes past. And then I want to see my hour hand is past the 12, so it's going to be 20 minutes past 12. Now if I was to write this as a digital clock, I already know how many minutes past it is, so it's 20 because it already tells me. Now if it is 12, remember 12 is actually the PM in the afternoon. And remember, if it's 12, if we add 12 to 12, it's going to be 24, but we wouldn't write 24 because there's 24 hours in a day, so it would start the next day, so it will be 00 to show the time. Okay, I'm going to pull out the keywords now for number 17. Tilly has £4.30. She spends, so she gives away 50p. And how much does she have now? So she's giving away 50p. We want to know how much is left, so we're going to take away. Now, because we are in pounds and we are in pence, there are 2 ways we could do this. The first way, we could convert it all into pence. So £4 is 400p, add 30, 430, and we could use column method to work it out because we're taking away 50. 0 take away 0 is 0. 3 take away 5 I cannot do, so I'm going to have to exchange. Turn my 4 into a 3 and put my extra 10 tens in my tens column. 13 take away 5, 5 count up, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is 8. Put 3 take away nothing is 3, so it would be 380p or £3.80. So that's one way you could have done it. Alternatively, if we'd have taken 30p first of all off 50, we would have 20p left over. So I know that then I would have £4. I would need to take 20p off £4, which would be £3.80. So that would be another way you could have done it. Okay, so now it says 3 cars have 12 wheels. So 3 cars, 12 wheels. This time I want to know how many wheels do 9 cars have. Well, if I see how do I get from 3 cars to 9 cars, I'm going to times by 3. So I can just do 12 wheels times by 3 equals 36. So your answer will be 36. Now another way you could do it, if there are 4 wheels on each car and we want 9 cars, we would do 9 times 4, which would be another way to get to the answer 36. Okay, number 19, we're going to compare these. So if we work them out first of all, if I do 3 times 7, I can do my 7s or my 3s and find the answer is 21. 8 times 3 is 24, so I can see that 24 is greater than 21. However, something else you could spot is that they're both timesing by 3. So because 7 is smaller than 8, it will be a smaller answer. So that could be another way you could have worked that out. Okay, number 20, if I write my HTO and I write 342, I want to know what the 4 represents. It's in my tens column, so it's 4 tens, which if I do 4 times by 10, it would equal 40. Now for your bonus points, the 2 would represent 2 because it's 2 ones, and the 3 would represent 3 hundreds or 300. Okay, so I'd now like you to have a go if you finished all that, some extension activities. So there's 4 questions here. I will then go through these 4 questions, and then there are some more extension questions after if you have finished those. So press pause now, have a go at show me all you're working out, pulling out the keywords, and then I'll go through the answers before showing you the next questions. Okay, so we're going to have a look and work these through together to see if you've got them correct. Okay, so let's have a look at number 1. Number 1 says, on Sunday, I spent 98 minutes on my project. So I'm going to write that down. Sunday, I spent 98 minutes. Then says, and 35 minutes. Let me just change that 30. So 98 minutes on art, and then 35 minutes on literacy. Oh, sorry, not literacy, numeracy. Numeracy. Then it says on Thursday, I spent a total, so the most amount of 100 minutes on my homework. Now I want to find the difference. So remember that word difference, we're going to be taking away if we see the word difference, because we want to know how many numbers are between them, between the homework I did on Sunday and the homework I did on Thursday. Now the first thing we have to do, it's a 2-step problem. We first of all need to know how many minutes were spent on Sunday on homework. So we had 98, we had 35, so if we add those 2 numbers together, first of all, 8 add 5 is 13, so I write 13, but my 1 under my tens column in exchange. 9 add 3 is 12, add 1 is 13, so again, exchanging into my hundreds column, so I've got 133, so that's my total amount on Sunday. My total amount on Thursday was 100. I want to spot the difference, I want to find the difference, it's my second part, so I'm going to do 133, take away 100, which really we shouldn't even need to work out because I'm just taking off 100, so I would have 33 minutes would be the difference. So you will have to have said 33 minutes was the answer. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Dad drives a truck. Last week he drove 250 miles on Monday. It says he then drove 145 miles on Tuesday. Then it says this week Dad drove 150 miles in total. So that was last week. This week he drove 150 miles in total. And we want to know what is the difference in mileage. So what's the difference between last week and this week? Well, again, it's a 2-step problem. We first of all need to work out how many miles he drove last week. So we're going to have to do 250 add 145 to first of all work out the total miles last week, which if I add them together is 395. And then this week he did 150. So if I want to find the difference, I'm going to take away. So I'm going to do my biggest number first, 395, take away 150, because that's how many he has done this week. 5 take away nothing is 5, 9 take away 5 is 4, 3 take away 1 is 2. So the answer is 200. and 45 miles is the difference between last week and this week. Okay, let's have a look at number 3. One watch costs 35 pence and I bought 2. So for one watch and I bought 2. If I paid with a £5 note, how much change? So let's first of all work out the first step. So if one worth is worth 35, 2 watches is what I'm going to have to work out first. So I'm having to do 35 times by 2, or 35, add 35. I can use my column method to work it out. 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6, add 1 is 70. So 2 watches are worth 70 pence. So first, that was the first part. Then it says, if I paid with a £5 note, how much change did I receive? So I want to find £5, and if I'm finding change, it's how much left over. So I'm going to take away 70 pence. Now, we could have either converted it, so £5 is 500 pence. So we could have done 500, take away 70 and work it out this way. 0 take away 0 is 0. 0 take away 7 you cannot do, so I'm going to have to exchange to give an extra 10 tens in my tens column. 10 take away 7 is 3. 4 take away nothing is 4. So she had 430 pence left. Alternatively, quicker way you might have noticed was that if it was going to go into taking off 70 pence, I would have £4 and what do I add to 70 to make 100? I add 30 pence. So your answer should have been £4 and 30 pence, or you could have wrote it 4 decimal point 30 as well. Finally, number 4, it says for number 4, I need to buy enough whiteboards for 95 students. And there are 10 whiteboards in a pack. When the packs arrive, 4 whiteboards are damaged. How many whiteboards are undamaged? So we're trying to find out how many are undamaged, but first of all, we need to work out how many whiteboards we need in total. So if we've got 95 students and there are 10 in a pack, we want to know how many packs we need for everybody to have a whiteboard. So we would have, if we count up in tens till we've got enough, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Well, we have to have more than 90 whiteboards because there's 95 students. So we would have to have 10 packs, because 10 packs, if there are 10 whiteboards in each pack, we would have 100. Now, if 4 of them, so we would have a total of 100 whiteboards. Now, if 4 of them were damaged, I would need to do 100 take away 4, which would give me 96, because I could either have done your column method, or we could have just counted back 4. So we would have had 96 which were undamaged. Oh, just quite agree. So I would say that my answer would be 96 undamaged, as 4 of them were damaged. Okay, so now I'd like you to have to go at these 5 questions, the next 4 questions. If you have a go at these, once you've done those, press play and I'll go through the answers to see if you have got the answer correct. So it says that I bought 125 metres of orange fabric. I'm just going to put OF for orange fabric. I've got 50 metres of yellow fabric. That's why I put YF, yellow fabric. It then says that I used 13 metres of orange and 12 metres of yellow fabric, and I want to know how many metres do I have left in total. So what I could have done 125 take away 13, so I'm going to do that up here. 135 take away 13, and then I could have done 50 take away 12. Now you could have done this in your head or looking at your numbers, or you could have used column method as well. If I do 125 take away 13, I can do 5 take away 3 is 2, 2 take away 110 is 1, 1 take away nothing is 1. So I had 112 meters left of that one. 50 take away 12, well I know 12 up to 20 is 8, 20 up to 50 is 30, so I have 38 meters left of that one. Then to work out how much fabric I have left in total, I would need to do 112 add 38, which I now do my column method. 2 add 8 is 10, so exchange my 110 into my tens column. 1 add 3 add 1 is 5. 1 add nothing is 1, so I have 150 meters in total left. Number 6, it says I got £35 for my birthday. On Saturday I spent £10, on Sunday I spent £15.50. How much have I got left? So let's work out the first part. So on Saturday I spent £10, so if I take £10 off £35, I would have got the answer £25. You could have also used column method for that. Then I've got £25 and I need to take off £15.50. So again, there are two ways I could do this. I could have started at £15.50 and I want to get to £25, so I could have used a number line. Up to my next pound would be £16 and I've added 50 pence. I then want to get from 16 up to my next whole 10, so I could go up to 20. So I've added £4 and then 20 up to 25. I've added £5, so if I add those numbers together, I would have £9.50 left. You could have also done it as column method and converted all of these into pence, and then converted it back into pounds and pence to find the answer, £9.50. Number 7, Sally bought 3 frames, but it says that one frame is worth £7.99, and we want to know what 3 frames are worth. So we could either do £7.99 times 3, because we want 3 lots, or we can do £7.99 add £7.99 add £7.99. I'm going to convert it into pence, so it's going to be 799 pence times by 3. If I set it up in my column method, 9 times 3. Oh, sorry, I've done that slightly wrong. £7.55, sorry. Just change that. So now 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Add your 1 is 16. 7 times 3 is 21. Add your 1, 22. So I've got 2,265 pence. However, then if I convert that back into, I've got £22 and 65 pence, because remember you always have to have 2 numbers after the decimal point. But then it says how much change does she get from a £30? So I want to do £30 take away £22.65. I could do this 2 different ways. I could do it in column method, or I could do it as a number line to try and work it out. I could go up to my next 10, which will be £22.70. So I've added 65 to 75 pence. I could then go up to my next pound, which will be 23. So 70 add 30 pence would take me up to my next pound, and then 23 up to 30 pound, I would be adding £7. So if I added all of these together, you should have got the answer, £7.35. Okay, and finally, number 4, or number 8 even, I've said that I found that I've bought 378 metres of orange, 107 of yellow, 467 metres of purple. It then says I used 60 metres of orange, 27 metres of yellow and 12 metres of purple. Now what you could do is you could first of all add how much fabric I got to start with. So add 378, 147, 476, which looks something like this. You could have put it all into one column to work out that I had 952 metres in total. Then it says that I use this much fabric, so I can find out how much fabric I've actually used. So if I add the three measurements together, I found that I have used 55 meters. So now what I could do is I could have done my total, what I started with, 952, take away how much I've used, so 55, and I should have got the answer 897. Alternatively, what you could have also done, you could have done 378, take away 16, 107, take away 27, 467, take away 12, and with those three numbers that you got, if you added them together, you should have still got the answer 897.